I woke up feeling like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, but when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming, or on the edge of remembering?
Thank you for letting me know. I had it muted so the song could play. Now that I figured out that nobody was hearing the song because I had the wrong thing shut off. You would think I was brand new to broadcasting since I've been back on YouTube. Actually, I never broadcasted live from YouTube. I always just saved some recordings or meditations, and somebody else was actually doing that for me and putting them up on YouTube to save them from the old days. And since the setup here is a little different than Twitch, I totally screwed everything up. Well, thanks for letting me know, Doc. Aloha. What the hell are you doing up? You were up way too early today. Did you even sleep? Doc's in Maui. Doc is Maui. And please remember to thumb up. Well, actually, I don't even know if YouTube does the thumbs down on videos anymore. I don't see those counting anywhere, but you can thumb down a comment in something, but you can't, I guess you click it, but nothing shows. Have you ever seen a negative anymore? They took that away. You can only see the likes. Actually, I did not sleep that much myself. Full moon, I found myself awake too late and then up too early. And I had some pain this morning, so I took a painkiller at like 4 o'clock, figuring, okay, it's early enough. I can get a few more hours sleep. And I didn't go back to sleep. I just laid there in that twilight zone for about an hour and a half and finally gave up and made tea. It's like, all right, well, it's Sunday. I don't have a hell of a lot to do. I'm going to paint, I'm going to cook, I'm going to eat. I already did the laundry. I'm not doing extensive cleaning on a Sunday, so, hey, doesn't matter. So what I'm doing is, my big canvas, Dan, you've seen it, the one that's not finished? Because I've been taking more time off to do stuff for Gloria and Harvey. I mean, I'm enjoying doing it for them. I don't want anybody to get the idea that, I'm grumpy about it. I'm fine. I'm choosing everything I do. But before I go and screw up a 4-foot canvas, I'm doing my experiments where I left off sometime last year. So I don't know if you were around when I made all these paper flowers. I wanted them to come out kind of like this, pale blue with the yellow and white center. Well, my plan so far is not working, so I'm really glad I made a tiny canvas to imitate, not so much the picture, but the circumstances. So when I do here, I can repeat the good parts of it on the big canvas. After all the months of work it took to get the big canvas where it's at, I would be so angry with myself if I screwed it up in the end. So I'm trying to make all these little flowers so they look like they're floating like a breeze, like taking them off the stems and on the stems. And I'll have another kind of flower which I have not composed yet because I have to do the delphinium-like flowers first. So here's all my blanks. And now I'm just experimenting to see what I have to put on them to preserve the white centers. Because I put the paint on the outside edges, but no matter where I put it, it all went right through the whole thing because it's tissue paper. I mean, it's literally half of this. Each flower is that. A single layer of toilet paper. Half of a single layer of toilet paper. go to my grandpa's. Oh, yeah, that's a long drive. And you're still waiting on the rain? Oh my God. Good morning, Mr. Gary, AKA Red Neon. Happy New Year. I put lipstick on today and now it's on my cups, so I'll be doing this a bit. Like, oh, I hate lipstick on cups. You didn't see it before, Dan? Hold on. I have to fix the camera anyway. I showed a couple people yesterday. Every time I do that, the camera has to be readjusted for the sitting down. It's almost as big as I am. So as you see, I'm doing the sculpture directly on the canvas, and it took so long to do this, and yeah, I just don't want to screw it up. So that's where I left off. Now I can put you back where I am supposed to be sitting. This thing is really in the way of the camera that way, isn't it? I can't see what you're saying without that. So there you go. That's the masterpiece of at least 7 months' work. So I started this a couple days ago on cheap canvas panel. When everything is done, I will spray plain water on the back of it and then put it in the press, because as you can see, or I don't know if you can see, it's already warping because the amount of moisture on the front. Now these little canvas panels do come with some gesso already on them, but really if you want to make something permanent, you need to put another coat of gesso on it before you paint. Even when they say double coated, it's not often enough. They're using very inexpensive, very thin layers of gesso. You can still see the texture of the canvas. That means it could use another coat. So I did not put a second coat on this. I just went with what you can see the white edges. That's what it came like. But underneath this is just super cheap pressed crappy scraps of fiber. It's just fiberboard, chipboard, something like that. It's just really crap. And it holds on to water, and that will rot your canvas from behind if you don't protect it later. So if I like the way this turns out, and it's not just a test subject, then I will go through all the effort of preserving it. But right now, we're just going to do what we can. Yesterday I put these on and dragged them through this green first. The day before I made all these little snakes. This is just plain water that made these. But the fun thing is, while they are wet, you can make shapes. Like these are going to be flower buds that will be on the big canvas. They have to be tiny, right? So I sat and made some of these, started making these things up, knowing what direction we were going in. These are going to be stems for the flowers. If you ever saw a delphinium, it's a bunch of stems with flowers sticking off the ends. But I like the idea of the motion of the way the wind makes flowers bend and takes some of the flowers off, and they go away in the breeze like petals. Oh, good. Chicken soup. Is it homemade? I actually have some chicken bone broth that I made. It took 3 days to make the finished product. So I saved some at the 2-day level, which is just clear broth, but it was made with lots of chicken and vegetables and flavoring. Almost no salt. and no unnatural flavorings. It was just like all the vegetable flavors going into it. Then I strained everything out, just took the broth, and then I did it all over again with more veg and more chicken. And so now it's like super, super healthy. I called it medicinal grade chicken soup. And it's easy to digest. All right. Yeah. Grandmas know. I grew up thinking it was actual medicine. And now there's more to that than people imagined. It is the best thing if you have a cold. It's because it's full of nutrition, it's easy to get through your system, it's easily accessible by your body, and it helps you stay hydrated because it's full of electrolytes and water. Oh, pumpkin soup, huh? All right. Congratulations. See, I'm just not crazy about pumpkin. I do love squash though. So I'll do like a squash pie or a butternut squash pie or sweet potato. Pumpkin pie, I like the spice. I love the way it smells when it's baking. I like one bite of it or two bites of it with fresh whipped cream when it's warm. And I'm done. I don't think, actually, yeah, I have to take that back. When Richard visited from Dublin for Thanksgiving, I made him a full-on Thanksgiving meal, including a pumpkin pie, and I made fresh whipped cream to go with that. And I did eat a whole sliver, at least up to the crust, which surprised me. Well, I think that's a great idea. I think that is an exceptionally good idea because it's food. Pumpkins are food, you know. In the original idea of making lanterns, that's not American, and they used to use things like turnips. They used to use big woody root veg, and that's what they made into lights. And you know, I guess, you know, we just started using whatever we had, gourds, pumpkins, and then it became an industry. Once it's an industry, you're going to have that monotone kind of thing. I thought it was great when they introduced the Luna pumpkin. Now, I knew about the Luna pumpkin years before it hit the general market because I was a farmer. I was a large gardener. I had the farm, but I did not own my own like heavy equipment. I always had to borrow it from neighbors or have them come over and plow, dig up dirt. Anyway, the Luna pumpkin is a white pumpkin. It's as close as you can get to a white pumpkin. And it's usually a little bit greenish and sometimes a little bluish. And there's a few out there, and they've been hybridizing them, crossing them, you know, naturally for a long time, over 20 years. And now I'm seeing them in the market, and they're so popular now that they're actually making them plastic. So it's cool to see them change. But pumpkin soup is super healthy, very healthy for you. So being able to turn that into a good meal, kudos. Now I do these little baking experiments because I want to try something myself. And then because it's just me and I don't have a bunch of storage in the freezer, it's a small freezer. And I use that primarily for my meats and frozen veg. So I really can't put a whole lot of food up. I can cook it and put it up, but there's no place to put it up. So I give it away. And I get the opinions of my neighbors. And when they start asking for something, it's like, all right, you got a winner. Like the panclit, the version of English muffin that you make in a pan and then cut into 4 muffins. They're wonderful. It's a great recipe, and I really wanted to show you how to make them because I got requests again. But when I record on YouTube on my phone, all of a sudden last week or around Christmas, it started going wonky, and now the voice sounds squeaky or there's no audio at all. So we don't know what's wrong with that. I'm still trying to figure it all out. I saw some problems with it. There's some bugs I know that they're trying to resolve, but we'll just keep trying until it comes out. Well, the thing is, I was thinking about that today, and I have thought about that before. I have never had to live in a dorm, but I have been on my own since I was 17. So I know what it's like to live in a tiny furnished room and work my ass off for only $50 a week. So yeah, you have to learn how to survive. And I've been looking at, like, let's say Walmart, because that's our cheapest source of food in this country. But it's also the biggest source of terrible, poisoned, polluted food in this country. They are carrying so much crap. And there's no law against selling garbage. That's actually one of the features in my third novel, talking about that, but from a different planet perspective. We have so much polluted food. You can't trust anybody to be producing your food in a clean environment. Okay, that's the problem. Because our corporations have gotten to be like a handful of corporations that produce all of the food, and they've contracted out to these little substations, smaller industries, smaller companies that are not being watched. They're not passing hygiene inspections, or they're like C- and not making corrections, and they're putting food out. There are ice creams, there's industrial food stuff going to prisons, going to nursing homes, going to schools. All of that stuff is contaminated. And it's McDonald's. McDonald's is one of the filthiest places you can ever buy food from. There's a reason their milkshake machine is often not working, or their ice cream machine, because it gets so full of ick. They can't keep them operating, and it's been like that for more than 20 years, so it's not a new thing, but they haven't addressed it because it's cheaper to pay off a few $1 million for a few suits that happen, even if those suits are because someone died. They'd rather just pay that off than change what they're doing. And see, this is where people are so naive. They think that the company is watching out for them. It's not. They don't give a shit about you, and you have to understand that. They don't care if you live or die. They only care to get your money. That's it. I mean, I wish it used to be more honorable, but these people making our food and handling our food are not mom and pop. They're not people who give a shit about your family. The only reason they even have to watch lead is because the government came down on them, like, you have to test for lead in your food. You have to test for mold in your food. But now we've got, unfortunately, a criminal regime running our country, and they have shut down the testing. So although it was already roll the dice when you buy a frozen product or a pre-prepared product, now it is, wow, really. Well, fish get ick, but so do, if I don't know if you've ever, well, you don't do very much cooking, but if you ever take a chicken apart or have to cut into a roast and you see what's inside of those things, you start to wonder, how did it pass? This chicken obviously has cancer. It's like, whoa, and it goes through because it's up to the consumer. You know what the saying for America is? Buyer beware. We grew up with hearing that, buyer beware, and still people naively think that everybody's watching it. There was just a major recall for Advil and a whole bunch of other things. There were over-the-counter medications and a whole bunch of food, and they were recalled because of rat shit being found in the food and in the medicine. So how is it getting in there? People they're not watching what they're supposed to be doing. Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, Glenn and I loved tacos. I still love tacos. I'm sure he still does too. Making tacos was, in the beginning, a pain in the ass. You get all the stuff you like on a taco, you chop it all up, and each pile of chopped stuff goes into its own little container. But the good thing is, if you chop a bunch of that stuff into containers and put those containers in the refrigerator, you can have tacos for like 3 or 4 days because it's all ready to go. You just pull them all out, put it together. You got a fresh taco, way better than anything you're going to get in a fast food place. And I do understand the appeal. Sometimes, and I know it's just a weird thing we're conditioned to with our taste buds, but part of it's because our taste buds have been kind of killed off by all these super flavors. You know, they want to zap your taste buds. Extra hot stuff, extra citric acid, things to make you go, the super sour candies, all that stuff. We've kind of ruined our ability to taste normal foods. After a while, though, your taste comes back and you realize, wow, this is so good. Why was I getting that? But I do like a greasy burger now and then, and I do like really good food, and I don't make burgers at home. I don't use chopped meat because of the contamination rate. Not intentionally, even when it's well inspected. The problem with anything ground up, before you use it, if it's sitting it somewhere, all those extra surfaces are catching aerobic molds. I learned this from an allergist, by the way. That's not something they advertise when you're going looking for stocking your refrigerator. Anything chopped up has multiple surface areas. My allergist, back when I was in a body cast and needed to breathe better, he said, and I won't quote everything he told me because he was annoying, but he did mention that most people do have some kind of an allergy to molds, an anaerobic or an aerobic mold. Aerobic are the ones that float around and land on things, just the ones that sit on top of leaves. So in autumn, people have a lot of allergies, not to the leaves, but to the mold growing on them and as they're breaking down in them. So all that stuff goes into the air and we inhale it. All that stuff doesn't just fall. It floats in the air for a long time, just like right now. There's a respiratory flu. It floats in the air. That's why masks will help with that one. Other things, I think there's one that gets the gastric area. That one is touch. It can live on surfaces for a little while, and it's so strong. It's so resistant to being cleaned. It takes straight bleach to kill it. Like, oh, okay. So we have a lot of stuff out there that we have to deal with. Thousands of viruses. We don't even know what they do. And I'm not trying to make anybody paranoid. I don't want you walking around thinking about germs because then you will attract them. But you need to be more aware of what's in your food. And your food will taste better when you learn how to prepare some stuff from scratch. The reason most people don't is we're busy, right? We have created such overly busy lives that we are not paying attention to what we're doing anymore. We just automatically reach for this or reach for that. My weakness is pepperoni pizza Hot Pockets. Oh, I do like them, but they're also really not good for you. But they're very tasty. Gives me just the amount of salt and grease I like now and then. But because they're so unhealthy, I do try to limit it to one a week max. And I also go years without them at all. So you have to learn your own body. But when you start cutting out the prepackaged stuff and you see how easy it is to make some things and how much better it tastes and cheaper, my God. Okay, biscuits, fresh bread in the morning. You can whip that up in 15 minutes. You can have biscuits, enough for your breakfast and some left over, with nothing but water or milk, or if you really want to get fancy, heavy cream, a bit of salt, and self-rising flour. That's it. You drop it into your frying pan that's already hot and got some oil in it, and boom, you got these biscuits rising in your pan that are absolutely delectable and way superior to whatever you can get in the store. And how much they want for those poppin' fresh things now? I think I saw like over $3. And those muffins go stale fast. I mean, they don't even last a whole day. I've tried making them last. It's like, you know what? May as well feed them to something because we're never going to want to eat these later. They're disgusting later. But they're very expensive. And a bag of self-rising flour, on the other hand, doesn't even cost as, and which you'll get a lot of those out of it, doesn't cost as much as one can of a pre-prepared biscuit. And then if you look at the ingredients, it's enough to make you try something new and better for yourself. So self-rising flour, if you are in a dorm, is way superior to having to stock everything and measure it out. It's faster because it's already got the salt and the baking powder measured out in it. All you've got to do is whisk in your wet ingredients and boom, cook. So when you start to try it for yourself. You saw what happened when you made a pumpkin soup. You didn't waste the pumpkin. It tasted really good. It's very, very healthy for you. And it didn't take you all day, did it? How long do you figure it took? Yeah. That's terrible. Well, you look at what's in them. Look at what they put in that stuff. Nothing you get there at Taco Bell is fresh. Everything is brought in frozen, meaning it was already processed. Then it's got to be thawed, and then it's got to be cooked. And in that interim, that's when you get a lot of E. coli and salmonella and all kinds of little other problems that can start to build. It's just, they're not healthy places anymore. Yes, when they first opened up, Taco Bell was actually pretty good. I remember in Southern California having Taco Bell, not every day, but when we had like a lunch run for everybody on the floor, we have a really busy day and none of us wanted to leave the store because it was just too crazy busy. And we were kind of out of the way, so it wasn't like you could just walk down the street to a fast food place if you were hungry. It was like the car had to be used in Southern California. And they were actually good. That was when I discovered Taco Bell. Went, oh, what do you know? This is pretty good. And then when I tried Taco Bell, matter of fact, just before COVID lockdowns, I was in Pennsylvania and my landlady took me to a Taco Bell. She was in the mood for a Taco Bell. And they had I don't know, like a tostada, a big, where the thing is your bowl, it's edible, kind of like a taco salad kind of a thing. Anyway, I got one of those and it was delicious. I was surprised at how good it was. I got a couple extra hot packets of sauce and it was very good. And then the next time I went back there, I thought, I'll try that again. That was actually decent. Well, they were out of those bowls. They couldn't get them anymore and everything went in plastic and that was the end of it. Everything tasted weird. And I was like, no, thank you. And I never went back. We have people coming up with ways to waste. And the problem is we keep cooperating with them. Yesterday, I showed everybody no Subway, no, all of them are, no matter what they used to be, for what they're charging you, you could do so much better if you could buy the separate ingredients, bring them home, and eat for 3 days. When I moved here, I was so sad that there's no Jimmy John's sandwich shop in my area or in the state, I don't think. They made their own bread every day. It was the first time in my life I ate a Subway kind of a sandwich What do you call them, grinders in Connecticut. First time I ate one of those, and I actually ate all the bread. Usually half that bread is discarded. I can't stand it. It gets soggy. It already starts off borderline I'm very picky about my bread, so that's from baking it and growing up with a grandpa who was a baker. Anyway, I couldn't stand anybody else's bread, but theirs, and the sandwiches were reasonable, and they were super fast at delivering. There was one away, like a mile away from where I was living. I lived on those for 3 months when I was writing the second book. It was a reasonable price, big enough where it was my lunch and my dinner. I was thrilled. I could work at my desk. I didn't have to keep cleaning the kitchen. It was perfect for me. And then I moved up here to Connecticut. And I ordered a sandwich, pretty much the same one I used to get down in Pennsylvania. It was over $20 for one damn sandwich. And then they expect a tip for delivering it. The bread was like, are you sure this isn't day old? I mean, this is like crappy bread. And I just was so underwhelmed and overwhelmed by the price. It's like, this cannot be. I can't live like this. I cannot spend $20 a day on my food. I don't have that kind of budget. Greetings, Charlie. We're talking about ways to cut our food bills, but make our eating more healthy. It's basically avoiding fast food, because in this country, the fast food has gone so downhill in quality and also in the places themselves being unhealthy and dirty. It's risky. You're risking your life when you eat at a fast food place anymore. Madame is excellente, darling. I am playing with this. I have some experiments here drying. And, oh. I don't know. It's almost ready to, maybe it is. Let's put this over here for a second. Blue ink. All right, the idea is to get a blue tinge on the outside. Shit. Okay, I didn't mean to squeeze it like that. I want the color to go from the outside in, but leave the center white, so I can add a little yellow to it. And my first experiments, it just sucked right into the middle. Now that has white glue in the center, with the hopes that that would preserve that from absorbing anything else, but that's not very effective. This one, it's still too wet to try, but that one has a little bit of yellow paint in the center and then white glue around it. We're going to see if that makes it a successful barrier, and it may or may not. I don't know. You know what? It might not, because this is not protected behind it. So let's make that not want to absorb anything. We will get this figured out so I can work on the big canvas eventually. There. This may have to be an after lunch thing. The cat's getting bored. Can't eat everybody's cooking. Well, not everybody's a good cook, but we can learn. And just like I've been learning, right now, the only reason I feel any kind of secure as we are getting ready to go into an actual depression in this country, because our president is insane and is a warmonger, committing criminal acts that are right now out of our control. All the money is going out of the country, and none of it is going to us to grow our food or distribute our food. So survival is going to go from just something to think about, to a reality. If you don't know how to cook for yourself, if you do not know what to make food from, you may have a very difficult winter. Of course, it depends on where you live. Some winters are harder than others. If you're in the Midwest or down south, where they don't do a whole lot of, well, right now there's been a lot of droughts and stuff like that, they're going to be in trouble. I went into the grocery store last week to find no lemons. Well, a couple of, literally like 3 lemons that were in bad shape and wouldn't touch them, and then very expensive bags of organic lemons, and part of them was already getting moldy. I know because I bought a bag that was, part of them were moldy. So we're already seeing shortages in the grocery stores. Be ready. Learn how to eat. Learn how to prepare your own food, because the prices are just going to keep climbing. And there is something that you need to understand right from the get-go. It's intentional. It is every bit intentional. And even if you don't grasp what's going on, you are still going to pay in the grocery store. So be alert. See what you can make on your own. Decide, well, what do you like to eat? How can you make it at home? How can you provide for yourself if the trucks don't make it through and your stores, your local stores don't get refilled? Do you know how to survive? And I hate to make people think that way, but I've been talking about this for over 30 years now. I've been trying to get people to pay attention. We have a wealth inequality as never seen on the planet before, ever. First time. It's insane. Before Trump started his term, we had something like 800 billionaires. It was, or 828, something like that. Anyway, we added over 100 billionaires. Okay, that means 100 people became billionaires since Trump went into office, even as hundreds of thousands of jobs bid it. 300,000 people in the government alone were early retired, and there's no money to pay them out. They don't know what they're doing in our current government. So you cannot wait for them to straighten things out. You need to know how to survive. You need to know how to find the food. You need to know. So educate yourself, because we're all living in different areas. Your local economy is going to be different from the national economy, and your local food availability, your local farms, etc., etc. But as people get more hungry and desperate and unable to feed their families, you're going to see more and more outbreaks of panic. You don't want to be part of that. You want to make sure that you, wherever you are, your little place is secure for a little while anyway. And that means cooking. Learning to cook. Learning to make things out of simple ingredients. And you know what? It used to just be a matter of course. People used to do it all the time. They didn't question it. It's like, this is what you do. Just like you didn't question why you would clean your toilet bowl. There are things you just have to do. And I grew up in that environment where cooking and eating were things you just had to do. So, although I did have the misfortune to have, well, like I told you, my mother was a terrible cook. My grandmother wasn't much better. I didn't have a whole lot of incentive as a child to cook or eat. But I did manage to find things, and then becoming a wife and feeling responsible, after all, I was brought up to take care of a husband, I felt more responsible and started learning how to cook for two, and then cook for when you have a party and have guests. And yeah, it's a self-education process. There was no mommy to teach me How to feed my own face. She couldn't do it when I still lived with her. She certainly couldn't do it when I was 28. MREs. What? Apartment complex give us a box of, I'm not sure what an MRE is. At the Christmas party. What do they know? Well, probably not very much, but what is an MRE? Oh my God. WTF. They gave you basically military rations. The kind of stuff that you get in boot camp, or the stuff you take out in war? I mean, when you're, thank you, Carlos. When you go, what, the soldier in that field, oh my God, we use that for entertainment on YouTube. Look at what they used to eat in this country in that year. And you check out the food and go, wow, this is what they had. It's still good, or ew, this was never good. No, actually, military food is, the stuff that they sent out in the field was very good stuff. Better than what you find in some other places. Whoops, like a very expensive camping food. Well, I hope you like my tea. Well, now we know what color my tea would dye these. Okay, let's try not to do that again. Well, you know, I don't know what the hell they have in their mind to do that, because those rations are not cheap. You go online looking for rations, that's a high-end investment. But if you have them, they will last as long as you keep them. They will last in case of an emergency, so put them aside for an emergency and don't touch them. They're made to last, which is better than I can say about half the stuff in the grocery store shelves. So one of the things I recommend is, I can't watch the video you sent until I'm offline. One of the things I recommend is dried beans. Why dried? It's more work, yes. You have to soak them and cook them before they're edible. But they take up less space than cans. But I would also have some canned stuff, because you need water in order to rehydrate those beans. So you want a kind of a mix of things. But the dried beans, you can make amazing things out of the beans. In other countries, they're pretty much a normal part of your diet. As I learned from one of my neighbors who hates everything bean or lentil, she grew up early, her parents did, in Italy. And in Italy, they're very big on eating legumes. They're very healthy. Black beans, I made black bean brownies, and nobody knew there were black beans in them until I told them, and they still couldn't taste them. They were just fudgy black chocolatey brownies. So we can do a lot of things. I saw recipes for turning black beans into truffles. Everything from soup to truffles, like candy. Like, really? I did not have a clue about all that other stuff. But when you start to see what you can do with them, all the beans, they've got different uses, and some have the same uses. It actually kind of gets exciting, because like, you're not limited to one miserable little diet. There's so many variations of a theme. Another good thing, if you have any land at all, you can plant some of those dried beans. If you like them, grow them. First of all, they make wonderful vines. They're fast growing. They usually have really pretty flowers, most often white, but the red scarlet runner bean has often grown just for ornamental because the red flowers are very showy. But they also make a really cool bean. And again, the beans are a source of protein. If you can't get meat, beans are the way to go. Now, I think that anybody who lives on this planet, well, basically everybody, you want to live, you got to learn how to survive. And one of those things is growing food. And if you don't know how to grow it, you should know how to prepare it. I am very limited to what I can grow in my apartment. I have only one window that gets decent sun, and it's not quite enough. So if you have anywhere that you can grow some food, hell, throw some beans in the pot and see what happens. My next door neighbor made bread out of lentils, red lentils, which, by the way, red lentils are just normal brown lentils where the hulls are removed and they split. They cook way faster because of that, and they turn yellow when they're cooked. So they look really pretty reddish when they start, but then they get pale. My friend made a delicious and beautiful bread out of that. So again, it's like if you buy a bag of beans for $2, and out of that one bag of beans, 1 pound of beans, you can get a big pot of soup and also make truffles or a bread or refried beans. You make them into a dip. All of it is easy to do, and it's going to cost you about $2. But if you go and buy all of that already cooked, it's, well, more than any of our budgets can stand. So I do understand a lot of young people are not really going to be into it. But there's so much out there, if you know what to look for, that you can find something that you will like, and as a plant, hopefully you can nurture. One of my favorite things down south was wild, but so healthy and so good that I added it. I basically just promoted its growth at the end of one of my vegetable garden beds and gave it a really big spot because it grows out there, and it's called lamb's quarters, which is better for you and way easier to harvest than spinach. Spinach is high oxalate. It can block your iron absorption. I'm not saying spinach is bad for you. It's good for you in limited quantities. So I used to use it 50-50 with lamb's quarters. I just go out, and the thing about spinach is you got to harvest the whole little head and then really clean it well because they like sandy environments and they come up with all the sand. They're a pain in the back. But the other one, lamb's quarters, grows like a Christmas tree. It just keeps going, and all summer long you can just keep popping off the younger leaves. Every new growth, you just take it off, and then it makes seeds that are edible. So it's a good thing to have in your garden, and it's wild. It grows almost everywhere in the world. It's drought resistant. It handles all kinds of changing circumstances, as I've discovered down south. So knowing what your wild foods are in your area, first step. What grows for free? Of course, if you live in a neighborhood where everybody's mowing their lawns all the time and it's more of a perfect green, like they're going to play golf on it, you're not going to find much to eat. And also, if they spray any pesticides, you don't want anything. But one of the things in summer that grows plentiful if you're in the right area, puffball mushrooms. There's just so much wonderful stuff out there in the world that you'll never see in a grocery store. And if you know what you're looking for, it's free. America's vegetables are not based on them being particularly healthy for us or anything else like that. They're based on ease of harvest and setting up for sale. Ease of production. That's all they care about. That's why there's so much food being wasted on the docks, because it won't fit into the machines that they designed to handle things like canning your peaches or anything like that. If it has to go in a can, they want the fruits or veg to be a certain size to fit in their machinery. And if they aren't the right size, they don't know what to do with them. Or if they look weird shape, they don't go into the grocery store. Most of them end up on the dock rotting because people are used to judging their food with their eyes rather than their brains. Like, Maui, how much is a package of English muffins nowadays? Well, I could do it that way. Well, you don't have to. I'm asking you, have an idea how much they cost? Or how much is a can of those instant biscuits that you can unroll and pop in your oven? Hold on. How much is a pack of English muffins these days? A standard 6-pack of name brand English muffins costs between $3.50 and $5.50. Those are name brands, but you can get them as cheap as Walmart's brand for $1.75 to $3.50. And they can cost up to $15 a pack if they're gluten-free. All right. How much is a bag of self-rising flour? It'll give me some different sizes. All right, a 5-pound bag of self-rising flour generally costs between $2.50 and $6 depending on the brand. Budget options like Great Value are around $3.24 for a 5-pound bag, while name brands like Pillsbury and King Arthur Top Shelf can go from $4.69 to over $6.95 for 5 pounds. Depends on where you get it. The most expensive is Gold Medal. However, King Arthur is far superior to Gold Medal. And of course, if you go to convenience stores or a premium grocer, they're always more expensive than your cheaper stores like Walmart or Aldi's. So locally, I can get right now at the Dollar General, which means they might be stale, I can get a pack of Thomas's Original English Muffins for $2 at the dollar store, meaning its price has gone up by 100%. Interesting. But at Target, $3.69. And I don't know what's $18.09 through Walmart, but it better be a whole lot of English muffins. Okay, so the initial purchase of your flour, purchase of yeast, baking soda, baking powder, salt. Those are the ingredients you're going to need for making bread or muffins, pancakes, and anything you can add to it to make it fancier for yourself, that's one thing. But those are all you need. You just your basic stuff, and you can eat a lot of food just from buying a 5-pound bag of flour. I don't shop at Target. I'm boycotting them because they got rid of their DEI policy and basically said, fuck you to black people. So fuck them. Yeah, can you believe $8? That's over $1 a muffin. Forget it. But you can put together your own breads, your own tortillas, and you don't even have to use flour. You can use ground up and cooked, which I'm going to show you if we get the YouTube going on my phone again. I'll show you how to do that. You can make flatbreads out of chickpea flour or lentil flour or black bean flour. All you've got to do is turn something into mash. You can empty out a can of beans, not saucy ones, just plain beans. Rinse them out and then take them and you mash them into nothingness, right? Total paste. Add water as much as you want to thin them. Add your seasonings and then cook them like pancakes, except thin enough to cover a whole pan. In a few minutes, you've got a wrap that you can use for your sandwiches instead of buying a whole loaf of bread that most of it may never be used. I don't eat enough bread. I had to buy a loaf of bread. I had another idea, but I got the wrong bread for it. So now I've got a really high quality white bread made with a bunch of seeds. It's David's Killer Bread or something like that. Anyway, it's killer bread. It really is good. But I don't do it. So you can make your own on the spot. If you run out of bread and you can't get to the store, there's a storm or you're out of money, if you have flour or beans, you're set. You can just make it yourself. And you can eat. Yeah, I don't touch any meats or chickens, especially from Walmart, because they're not properly inspected. I have found terrible things in those chickens. And I used to buy it when I lived in North Carolina because basically we were stuck. We were way out there in rural North Carolina, and we had a Food Lion, which I didn't really want to shop at after I saw how they left their meats out, where they turned green and rainbowy and left them out there to be sold. It's like, who is going to eat this? It's rotten. It was gross. It was filthy a lot of times. So I just would not buy food in a filthy place. But then I started seeing reports on the conditions of the chickens that are used that way, and it's like I can't eat those either. So I paid top shelf. Cookies are nothing. I'm talking about basic food. Basic food. Fuck the cookies. Cookies are easy, but that's a superfluous food. I'm talking about making sure you survive. Learning to use what you have locally. Identifying what grows around you. I think I did more than just talk about make your own cookies. We've done the make your own cookies. Well, like I said, because cookies are an extra. I like cookies. I make cookies, but if I'm hungry, I'm going to want real food before I get to the cookies. Cookies are dessert. And we can do some more of that too. We have shortcuts for making your cookies. Well, like I said, I do like them, but for me, I'm more likely to lean toward the sesame candy because that's actually helping my body. What? I don't want to lose too much of the curl here. All right, well, that is soft enough. You had a dream last night. She offered you what? Free liver. What else happened in that dream? Did you go to bed hungry? For me, if I dream about liver, it means my iron is really low and I need to eat some liver. Was there anything else about that woman that stands out? Maui has been having strange dreams lately. He yanked himself right out of bed and hit his head. A white mini skirt. And what was her attitude toward you? Yeah, right? Why was she offering you liver? Were you in a restaurant? Were you at her place? What was the setting for her offering you liver? Oh, I know, poor baby. But you're here now, and you can see again. No, I need littler. Okay. Giant libraries occurred within a row of buildings. Sounds like you're visiting the Akashic Records. But it's not the scenery. It's like, what's going on? And how do you feel about it? Because scenery is just usually representational. Most dreams are just a jumble of crap that's been running around in your mind as your brain is organizing at night. Not everything is important. Creepy, dark, decrepit houses. Oh. Yeah, that is usually signs of insecurity. Or the state of your body. Houses represent our house, our house. So it's kind of like seeing what the condition of the house is kind of like how we're feeling inside. Not for everybody. I believe I'm looking for more houses in your dream. Oh, I'm gonna have to make some more of these curls. These are too big. I've designed them for the big canvas, not a little one. Yep, gotta make some more. She was talking to someone. She rushed to the door and put a newspaper in front of my face. And she has free liver to give you. So first she upsets you because she puts a newspaper in front of your face. Okay, did you accept the liver? Was it a raw liver, cooked liver, a liver dish? Or was that the end of it? Have you been having problems with your liver so that a liver would be on your mind? And Gary, okay, you said, I believe I'm looking for more. Are you typing more what? That's so weird we're talking about this because last night I was actually awake and I was remembering an old dream I had about being inside the wall of a house and having this little tiny light and literally living in the space, in the walls. But that was something I think that happened when I read The Diary of Anne Frank. And since we have Nazis out and about now in our country, I'm not surprised that those kinds of memories would come back up. You were trying to read the paper, Shannon. Too many words. Good pun. So she delivered to you. Okay. Finish telling me. And you, Neon, what do you feel like you're looking for in your dream when you're looking at decrepit houses? Only offered it to you. Okay. Did you take it? Was that the last thing you remember before waking up? all this time. What am I going to make for lunch? That'll work a little. Oh, that's good. Oh, you, okay. Oh, that's good, Gary. So you never actually saw or got the liver? She just offered it to you? Do you remember saying yes? Or just being upset about the newspaper being shoved in your face? So, Gary, do you have a bit of the wanderlust? Is there more of the world you want to see before you go home? Woke up before you could, huh? All right. So when you woke up, what was the feeling that you were left with? It's the feeling that matters, all right? If it was really a nonsense dream, you'll really just have like, wow, that was weird, but it won't really mean anything to you. That's what most of our dreams are. Just a reorganization of little factoids that the brain is sorting through, and like remnants of dreams, remnants of ideas. And they just, here, brain, while we're working, you focus on this, be busy. Here's a little dream for you. But sometimes it's insight into our own psychology, our anxieties, our fears, our hopes, and those are the ones that are more interesting to analyze. Would be nice, but I'm established here. Well, again, it's all your choices, Gary. Looks like it is for everybody. If you were determined to see more of the world, and that's something you were really thinking and feeling about, more opportunities and people that could help that happen would start to appear. But as soon as you even think of that, if you say to yourself, "But I'm established here, I can't leave," then that's it. You're there. That's your reality. You're speaking your reality into the world. So if you want your reality to change, you need to change what you're saying. Because we will follow what we say, and anything that's already happened, it's already manifested, it's done. We're always trying to move forward. So you already have your house, you already have a certain established living way, but if anything changed, anything can change. I'm not wishing anything bad to happen to you. I'm just saying that like that, your entire life can change. Like your home. You know, how well insured it is in case of a flood, a tornado, a fire, all of these things. People get uprooted from their very settled lives all the time, every day. And it doesn't mean that it'll happen to you. It can, maybe not, but you're going to attract, or, well, we only attract. So if you are focused on staying, that's where you're going to stay. But if you start to allow yourself to dream bigger, then the universe will help things happen in a bigger way. It's up to you, not the world. Yes, we have our certain limitations. I, at my age and physical condition, am not going to start jumping out of airplanes just because I want to know what it's like to parachute out of an airplane. But if that was something I really wanted to focus on, I would manifest someone who's into it. Well, for you, the liver is very symbolic, Maui. First of all, if you're not asleep early enough, your liver is trying to clean itself while you're still adding shit to your body. So the liver is obviously one of our most important organs because it cleans everything. And if it gets fatty or toxic, like mine did with Tylenol, which is why I had to switch medications, then it can kill you. But the liver is so important, it's also the only organ that regenerates to a certain degree. So livers can recover, but we also tend to live in an environment where we keep putting poison into our livers. Now, if you've been feeling weak, or your doctor said your blood showed you were a little anemic or something like that, I'd say a dream about liver would be suggesting go and have yourself some nice chicken liver pate. Oh, no, you still want to worry. No. Paying attention to your life is not worrying. And if it's worrying you, you're not thinking about your life in the right way. You are the creator of your life. If you don't like it, then focus on what you like. You don't have an option in that. You don't have an option in not being a creator. No matter what, you're going to create. And your living arrangements, everything about your life is going to reflect how you think about you and your life. That's why it works for everyone. There are no exceptions. You attract what you feel about, you're attracting what you think about. So I don't say worry. No, worry is a waste of energy. Knowing your facts and operating in that realm, that's not worry. That is taking care of business. So I don't worry about the economy when I know that I have already taught myself how to survive in different environments. I have already taught myself how to do things. I know how to cook. I know how to create food. So I'm not anxious at all because I believe in being prepared. But that doesn't mean I should be anxious over my preparations. I take joy in learning how to cook new recipes. I take joy in seeing how I can eat better and cheaper. So that's not anxiety inducing for me whatsoever. It's exciting. It's like, you can do this with that? I did not know. So even at this late date, I'm learning how to make things for myself that I didn't even know back then. Because a lot of that stuff was not commonly used in our regular diet because we were trained to buy whatever on the television and whatever on our market shelves. That's what they want us to buy. It's not good for us, but that's what they want us to buy. So you want to be healthier or happier, you can decide what you want to focus on. Not everybody wants to live a long life. They don't care. They will take whatever is out there and just, they don't mind if they die younger or if they have to deal with different kinds of weird sicknesses. They just take that into, well, that's what you do. And I remember a button I had. I got this book of buttons that you stick them and remove them and put them back on. It was a gift from my aunt. One of them was like, a lot of them actually were rather depressing. I could not get myself to wear them. Like, life is a bitch and then you die. Like, what? I don't want to grow up thinking that life's a bitch and then you die. Like, there's nothing between that time. I like my life too. And, aside from that bout with COVID, really my health issues have been the only thing that brings me down at all. I can look at the news and I can look at politics and I know that everything is in flux. Everything's always changing. And right now there's a whole bunch of real desperate pedophiles trying to do everything they can to manipulate the news cycles to take the heat off them. Because when their names are fully exposed, well, they're going to have to spend much more of their time making sure they're safe. And that's okay with me. But I'm not going to be out there having to hunt people down. That's not my gig. Not my job. My job is to have fun. I'm very clear on that. And today I had a blast working on my book. So my morning before I got out of bed included working on Numerous 3. I could not possibly be happier. Yeah, that's a choice. Oh yeah, January. I remember doing that. Luckily, I did not have to work overnight. But I did work late, and we hired inventory people. They came in and they worked all night. So the rest of us were nice and fresh to open the store the next day. Because you have an advantage at this point, Gary, because you've got things that are on computer. You can scan things. We did not have anything like that back in the 80s. Well, see, we always ran our inventory before the official inventory. So we all had our own departments. I was head of fine arts. Everything had to be labeled. Everything had to be counted. The sheets had to be current. And then the sheets were left in wherever for the inventory takers to match and see how much of a difference there was. Because that's how they figure the floor tax for the company. Whatever is sitting on the floor is taxed differently from the stuff that is not on the floor. And all that stuff, I mean, in the guitar factory, holy shit. Talk about a pain in the ass. Literally, every teeny screw, every nail, every single little teeny weeny thing in boxes, they had to be counted. I mean, it was insane. You couldn't assume that a box had 100 rivets in it. You had to take them out and count the goddamn things. Like, are you kidding me? This is a guitar factory. It's a factory. Now, had I been working with marijuana before then, I would have known how to take care of that in a heartbeat. You get out your scale. You count one box and see how much it weighs. And after that, you can weigh the boxes and you know if it's short or over. We got so excited when we got cash registers that we were able to put things into different departments, okay? Instead of just everything goes on one receipt, we finally were able to go this department, that department, so we knew which departments were doing better than others instead of just having one number at the end of the day, which is what you've got. You're computerized that way. So yeah, every time they count something, it goes into, we have so many of these, we ordered so many of these, we should have this much money. I did enjoy retail work when I was selling things I believed in. I am a terrible salesperson if I don't believe in the product, because I just can't get myself to lie to the customer. And putting glue in here was a good idea for this particular project. Okay, this should be ready for another stage tomorrow. It's going to need some time. If you glaze over something that's not completely dry, you end up with mold. And this paper is tightly twisted, so moisture will sit in it in the center for a while. You have to really wait and be sure. So I can paint those tomorrow after they're completely dry. Yeah, okay, it's starting to look like a little something here. Yeah. But the real struggle is going to be this. So let's try our last experiment here. No, it's still a little cool. It means it's still wet. All right, we can't touch that yet. Oh, yeah, Gary, that's a different thing. Being a salesperson, everything is subjective. You know, when it's jewelry, it's what they like. You can't talk them into something unless they really want it. But if you're a good salesperson, you can spot the difference between ones who really want that and they keep coming back to it and those eyes keep going back to that item. Then you know you've got a chance for pitching it. You can point out how durable or how well made it is, or whatever, find something good to say about it, and that will stay in their heads. But if they don't really have an interest in it, there's nothing you can say that'll make them buy that. So going into it knowing that, watch their eyes, where their eyes keep going back to, and you become, you know, better at dealing with that. Well, I worked in art materials, and you have to know your materials if you really want to make a good sale. I had a really good reputation because I learned everything I could about everything I sold. I drove people crazy at first, all the reps and the companies, but I didn't hesitate. I'd call the company itself, talk to people in research and development, whatever it took to track something down. Because of that, I was inspired. I created a newsletter for the store, and I did some good stuff for the store. I enjoyed it because I was inspired, but I would not sell a very expensive paint set to a 7-year-old who had never painted anything before. When I worked at a different art store, that's what they wanted me to do, which was what made the job so horrible. Because I will never tell a 7-year-old, the parent of a 7-year-old, they need this $600 easel, when they may not like art after all. They may really love it for a little while because most people are very creative and they will like it. But you don't start them off with that kind of high-end materials. You can get something that's still going to be valuable if it turns out great, if they use something that's a little bit closer to student grade when they're first deciding if they like something or not. So I don't oversell, but I would inform the parents, this is okay and this is okay. This is going to be more toxic. They're going to have to watch them more and make sure they use these materials correctly, or you can, you know, they can hurt themselves or you. So I was always very honest, and it was great. That's how I got a good reputation in the first store, and it was my reputation in the first store that got me the job in the second store. People knew when I was moving I needed to relocate. After all, it was 2 hours drive each way to keep my original job. So I moved into a place in Pasadena, and the guy was a dick. he just pushed and pushed and pushed for you to sell everything no matter what, and he didn't care about honesty or integrity or ethics. And I cried every day on the way to work. I'd have a stomach ache. First time in my life, I had a stomach ache from hating my job so much. I never hated geometry that much. So yeah, there are stores and they're wonderful to work with, and the people are great, and you're supported by the management because they know you're doing a good job. And then there's people that are just after the money, and they don't give a shit about how they use the product or anything else. Like if I was working for TJ Maxx, I have an eye for quality. TJ Maxx does not exactly carry high quality stuff. They do have the occasional nice thing, but honestly, it's fast fashion. And it stands out as fast fashion. I know, I've purchased clothes there. It's actually the only store credit card I still have. But it's, if I had to work there, I would not be able to, well, actually, I would probably do what a lot of you people do. You don't talk to anybody. You try not to answer any questions except for where is this located in the store. Because if you have to answer questions about how durable is this fabric, or have you had any returns of this particular fashion or whatever, if you have to start answering some of those questions, it's going to get less comfortable. Oh, I don't believe you would. That's not the kind of person you are, Gary. I can't imagine you being pushy at all. Come on, I'm getting impatient. I want to go make lunch and then come back and see if I can do a live stream on the phone. It's wonderful when you can love your job. And I recommend that if you're going to get a job, even if it's just a temporary job, you should be looking for what is good about it. Look for the fun aspects. Look at whatever good you can do. All right. Well, it held its shape a little better because I had more clear stuff holding the original. But unfortunately, the blue is going into the yellow, which is what I wanted to avoid. So, although it did start out okay, we're going to try again. I'll set one up to dry so we can play with it later or tomorrow. Oh yeah, I know. I don't have any liver. Actually, I do have some chicken livers, but they're frozen for making a gravy. And honestly, I really did want to buy some chicken livers recently, but I'm really getting paranoid about inspections. They're not inspecting the food like they're supposed to, and a lot of toxic shit is going out into our food, and I am really concerned about it because I can't afford it. I can't afford to get sick from my food. Well, like what we had, I paid 86 cents for a necklace that your store sold for $27. That's quite a bit of difference. However, something you can point out, Gary, when you buy jewelry on Temu, you're getting seconds. It's priced that cheaply because it fell on the factory floor. There's little scratches or little cloudy bits or things that are not finished properly. You'll find flaws in the Temu stuff. And I've seen it because I have people downstairs who have been buying jewelry. I've got one old lady who has Alzheimer's. She is fanatical about bracelets. Shiny, shiny, shiny. And I saw some shiny and I went and said, hey, that looks really pretty from afar. When I got close, it's like, this looks like costume jewelry. You can already see where there's oxidation, and she just got this. So yeah, she only paid $1, and it looks like. So when you are selling something that is also being sold on Temu, remember that the picture on Temu is the picture is being used to sell it everywhere, and that's not what you're going to get when you order it from Temu. That's what I'm telling people. Just say no to all these imports until we make changes in our buying habits. There's not going to be any change in their buying habits. So we have to remember that we are creating this economy. We are creating the pollution. We are creating the landfills by buying all of this stuff and using their crap to build our stuff. Exactly identical. It's not dishonest. That's called wholesaling. You're paying wholesale kinds of prices at Temu, and you're paying retail in the store. That's normal. A 400% markup is the norm in stores like that. That's why people run to Temu and Ali whatever and Shine. I bought some stuff from all of them, and can tell you exactly where the flaws were, the crap was. Like, I bought a dress. Okay, it was supposed to be a dress with pockets in the front and just a simple pullover dress. When I got it, it turned out to be a microfiber sweatshirt it was completely shapeless. It was poorly sewn, and yeah, technically it was what they were selling. Another thing I got, another dress, had a button closure in the back. It didn't have a button, and it also wasn't lined up. It had a loop on it and no thing for the loop to catch on. So it was like, okay. I got something else. No hem. Like, just keep it. It depends on what you are looking for. The only thing I've gotten on Temu that I've liked are my watercolors. I've gotten some paint supplies that I felt were worth it. They had other flaws, like my wonderful set. I love these pencils, but this is how it arrived. Okay, partially crushed. It's like, well, where's the hook? Oh, it fell out somewhere. My watercolor paper warped because they only put adhesive on 2 sides instead of 4. So there's little things wrong with every single thing I have purchased from Temu. My clothes, oh my God. Yes, there are definitely, I can wear them and I see what's wrong with them. Not everybody, when I'm walking by, they see the other parts of the outfit and they don't pay attention to what I know is there. Well, that's cool. But I don't know how particular you are. I'm used to good quality stuff. And I see all the imitations. Like, if you take a look at Temu, their fashions, if you go to the picture that you can expand so you can see the actual fabric, you can see whether it's dyed or woven. Like, this is from Temu, this blouse. I'd like it very much, except that it's way smaller than it's supposed to be. Even though I got the larger size, it's like, are you kidding me? I know I did not gain 10 pounds since my orders, but there you go. But I like it, so I figured, well, I can wear it under things and no one will know it's a little too tight. But other stuff, unfinished things that just fall apart. Nightgown. I just wanted the same simple nightgown, just a plain white nightgown. And the first thing that happened after I washed it the first time, it popped a hole in the seam because it was just barely sewn. And as soon as there was any stress on it, it opened up into a hole. Like, what? After one wash? So yeah, it definitely depends on what you're buying. But you are not helping the country every time you buy overseas stuff. And I know it's going to be cheaper and people are doing that, but if it's not a necessity, how much do you really need it? Again, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I do know that money is limited and is going to become more so. We're in a recession, literally, economic recession. It's across the country. If we actually go to war, we are going to be plunged into depression. And if you want to know what that's like, because you weren't around, look it up on YouTube and see, like, for example, Depression era foods. How did they eat during the Depression? And you'll start to get an idea of what we are facing. I haven't clocked in years. Jesus Christ, what are you doing with all of those dolls? You got 4 more, even though the one you got has a crooked eye? So it's not a first, it's a second. You bought a second and you're okay with that. Good price. I'm not concerned if this is a little warped because I know it's paper and I know how to handle paper and I can make this flat again. But when I bought the pad, I wanted flat paper. Well, that's not what I got. But hey, it was also very inexpensive. And that's what I was going for because I needed something to make tiny paintings on. So yeah, that worked for me. They don't make them anymore. They don't have those pads anymore. But I also just removed all Temu, and I don't have any even those apps anymore. I just got rid of all of them. The 2009 thing, what was that? Time keeps going, Gary. Just because we've gone through something doesn't mean we're not going to go through it again. Life is change. Nothing stays the same for long. We will not allow it. We're not here to sit and do nothing. We're not here to just stay in one place. We're here to continually work toward new things. So I'm not questioning what you buy, because when you come in here, you tell us what you buy. So I know where you shop, and I know what you buy. Not everything, because you're not like reporting everything, but you know what I mean. I've been watching your habits for 18 years now. So I'm just wondering, why did you buy 4 more male Barbie dolls after the first one was not perfect? Was it just the price was right? Do they all look the same? Are you dressing them, making clothes for them? What do you do with them when you get them? It's cool that joints are fully functional. We haven't seen a doll like that in a while. Hold on. I can't just grab messages while I'm live here, okay? So Doc sent a video. My tea is on the way. I'll have to look afterward, I'm afraid. doing nothing, just wait a second. While I'm using this to stay here. Oh, how cool. All right, I'll show people what a male Barbie looks like. So did it come with that outfit, or did you have to buy that separately? And Doc, what am I looking at? Is that rain expected? 68 degrees. Oh, it's cool today. Or is that the volcano? You'll have to tell us what we're looking at here. Come back to where we are so I can see you. That's radar. Is it your moisture radar? Is it saying you're getting rain or no? My radar does not look like that. Your radar looks like it's scanning the hot spots, like the volcano. It came with the clothing. Cool. Oh, cool. I know you're hoping for that. I got up and I went to bed with the news that we were supposed to get snow this morning. And I'm laying there and it's like, there's supposed to be snow. And I went and looked out every window and there was no snow. And then finally I look and there it is, light sprinkles. We got about less than half an inch, but enough to cover the rooftops. They did all the south-facing rooftops had melted, so they went back to being black. And the other sides were white with the snow. And then they got covered, so it's like, oh, there's the snow. Cool. Okay, boys and girls. It is past my lunchtime. We're going to let everything dry because I can't do anything more until these things are solid again. And right now they're kind of, well, wet tissue. Ooh, ooh. Still a little wet. But it's making a lighter color as it dries. So that's ideal. That's what I wanted. Not quite as light as that, but it's all right. I guess I should use some smaller flowers. All right. Well, we will have more to play with later. The Big Island's going to get snow today? Whoa. You have anybody there to take pictures for you? Oh. Oh, too bad, Maui. Oh, you have to work tonight? Oh, yeah, because you have, you're going to be up all night. Yeah, a nap would be a good idea. I am going to make myself some lunch, and after we will see if we can make the phone work as camera in the kitchen, and we will make something together. You should be asleep, Gary. So goodbye. Until later. Yeah, okay. Well, I think we're headed in the right direction for the big canvas. When we get the color down and we get this issue taken care of, I have a little higher hopes for this one. Maybe not. I'm gonna have to put some more white glue on the back of it and make sure we're preserving it from dye. Just want to prevent the spread of the paint. Actually, ink. All right, we will investigate that later. Charlie, what are you doing the rest of the, for the next couple of hours? Oh, it's getting warm in here now. Oh yeah, I wanted to recommend you, since you're into philosophy. You know who Alan Watts is, right? He wrote something called The Wisdom of Insecurity. You might want to check it out. Eating time. I'm not eating, Tina. I think you keep meaning to write tuna and you keep writing the girl's name Tina. I ain't touching that one with somebody else's 10-foot pole. I'll see you later. Until then, thanks for hanging out with me and listening to me blah 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 blah.